is known as the land of fire and ice. And they call their country, their national wonders, they call them their natural wonders, they call them their national treasures. The fire, the erupting volcanoes, the geothermal activity on the island, the glaciers, the ice that has receded and formed the topography that you actually see today. My husband and I were very fortunate to visit Iceland for 7 days last year. It was a wonderful trip. We've traveled many places, and as I alluded to in my introduction, it was a unique one because we had the ability to get up close and personal to some of these spectacular sites that you really just don't get to do in other places. One of them was spending the afternoon at a geothermal pool, actually heated by a geyser. So you could swim to about 10 feet within the geyser, and you could watch as it kind of started to bubble. And then once it was getting ready to erupt, you would feel it on the heat on your legs, and then as it reached the surface, it would smack you. That heat would smack you right in the face. And that is not something that Yellowstone National Park would ever let you do for safety reasons. But one of our favorite places that we visited was the town of Vik. It's known for its beaches. So we're walking along the paths, and you see, these really huge boulders turning into really small pebbles. And then when the sand hits the sea, it's reduced to this really fine sand that is jet black. Jet black, no impurities or anything, jet black sea. And then that with the overcast sky along with a very, very angry sea, although it doesn't sound beautiful, it was one of the most beautiful sights that we've ever seen. It was awesome. To say that the country is beautiful really is an understatement. And the de-isolation of the country over the past few years has really opened it up to tourists like myself. I would say about 8,000 years ago, the glaciers started to recede, and it unveiled one of the newest land masses on the planet. So because it has been isolated for so long, it has some really unique features. My personal favorites, there are no amphibians, there are no reptiles on the island. They even have their own breed of horse. It's about the size of me, and it's a short little creature. They're absolutely adorable. They actually call them ponies. They don't need any vaccines or antibiotics. They don't carry the diseases that our livestock have here. In fact, if an animal does leave the island, they're not allowed to come back because of the fear of the diseases that they will bring back with them. This small quaintness isolation of the country has also led to a really small population. For a town, or for a country roughly the size of Maine, there are about 330,000 people. Compare that to the KC Metro, which has 480,000 people. So it is quite isolated and quite small. But that isolation really just does not exist anymore. So in 2008, while America was undergoing its financial meltdown, Iceland was having a financial crisis of its own when its entire banking system collapsed. So at that time, they were looking around trying to figure out how they were going to dig themselves out of this mess. And they decided that they were going to bring foreign tourists to help boost the economy. Well, little did they know that it would work so well. In 2017 alone, they're going to have about 2.3 million visitors to the country. And remember, this is in comparison to a population of 330,000, and 60% of those people are living in one city, the capital city of Reykjavik, which is pretty amazing to think about. So this kind of influx of people is really straining not only the locals, but also the natural resources that the tourists are coming to see. There's increasing housing prices, the cost of good has risen exponentially, and the tourists are just trampling all over and desecrating the sites that they hold so dear to their hearts. So as this tourism boom continues to grow, Iceland has got to figure something out from an infrastructure standpoint. How are they going to balance the needs of the locals, but also they still want that money coming in from the tourists. Currently, they're trying to work through solutions. They've proposed possibly, capping the amount of tourists that can come into the country, or adding fees and taxes to visitors to help offset that cost for the infrastructure. They haven't quite figured out what they were going to do yet. Experiencing the country, I completely understand why they are so concerned. The sites that we visited, I really don't see how it can handle millions of visitors a year without some sort of regulation or pathway or anything to hold people back. So the Icelandic Tour Board, until they come up with some sort of solution, they want to raise awareness of the plight of the country. They've come up with a pledge for visitors that are coming into the country or getting ready to visit to the country to take. And I think for you guys, this will give you a glimpse of what Tourists Gone Wild really means. Feel free, if you're going to Iceland, you can take the pledge with me. I pledge to be a responsible tourist. When I explore new places, I will leave them as I found them. I will take photos to die for without dying for them. I will follow the road into the unknown, but never venture off the road. And I will only park where I'm supposed to. When I sleep out under the stars, I'll stay within a campsite. And when nature calls, I won't answer the call on nature. I will be prepared for all weathers, all possibilities, and all adventures.